Alrighty, so here's our lesson for today. Students will be able to write linear equations in two variables for parallel and perpendicular lines. So a linear function is just a straight line. Linear parent function is y equals x. X-intercept is where that line crosses through the x-axis. Slope is rise over run, or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Y-intercept is where that line crosses through the y-axis. Positive slope, if you read it like a book, it's going up. Negative slope, read it like a book, it's going down. Zero slope, remember, like a flat line heartbeat. Zero heartbeats, straight across. This would be y equals 2. Undefined slope, straight up and down. This would be x equals 3. Standard form, ax plus by equals c. Slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Parallel lines, here we go. This is what we're getting into today. Parallel lines, they have the same slope and they never ever touch. Perpendicular lines, their slopes are opposite reciprocals. They cross at a 90-degree angle. So this slope right here, pay attention, is positive 2 over 1. This one is negative 1 over 2. Okay, so that's how you do the perpendicular slopes. So here we go, looking at the worksheet. All right, so write the equation of the lines. Okay, so I'm going to do a few examples with you. Number 1, we want the equation of the line containing this point and is parallel to this equation. Okay, parallel to that equation. So parallel, what does this mean about the slope? It's going to be the same slope. So what I want you to do first, we're going to do point slope form because we know the point and we know the slope because it gives it to us. So y1, x1, and m. I want you to tell me these. So what is x1? So it's negative 2. What is the x1? 5. What is the slope? Well, since it's parallel to this line, their slopes are the same. So it's a positive 5 over 3. Okay, now we're going to do our formula. Y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Okay, so y, and then what do we put? Plus 2, because we do the opposite, equals, our slope is 5 over 3, x minus 5. And this is how you'll type it in. Okay, this is how you'll type in your answer. So number 2, it says we're going to write the equation containing this point parallel to this equation. Parallel means what about the slope? Means it's the same slope. Okay, so y1 is what? Positive 6. x1 is what? Positive 3. And our slope is going to be what? Let me show you. So if you have negative x over 2, that's the same thing. Remember there's an invisible 1 here? It's the same thing as saying negative 1 over 2x. Same thing. So what's our slope? Negative 1 over 2. Okay? Because it's the same as that. So we're going to write out our equation. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So y, what? Y minus 6 equals, what's our slope? Negative 1/2. X, here it is, minus 3. That's what you'll type in. Careful not to forget your negatives. Okay, so let's move over to number 6. Number 6 says the line is passing through this point and is perpendicular to this line. Perpendicular means what about the slope? Opposite reciprocal. Okay, so this slope right here is positive 1 over 8. So the opposite would be negative, and instead of 1 over 8, it's now 8 over 1, or just 8. You don't have to write the over 1. So y1 is what? Negative 9. x1 is what? 6. And what's our slope? We figured it out over here. It's negative 8 over 1, or just negative 8. Now we're going to write our equation. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we have y what? Plus 9, always the opposite. Y plus 9 equals negative 8 x minus 6. And that's what you'll type in. Okay? So now let's scroll down and look at number 8. Let's look at number 8. Okay, so we need a line that passes through the point negative 5, 2 and is parallel to this line. What does parallel mean about slope? Same slope. So let's figure out the slope first. But this is in standard form. So what do we need to do? How do we get y by itself? Move the x, divide by y. So we're going to move this 2x over here, okay, to the other side of the equal sign, like right here. Okay, so we're left with negative 3y equals, moving it over makes a negative 2x plus 4. Then what? Divide by negative 3. So y equals negative 2 divided by 3 is positive 2 over 3. X. Positive 4 divided by negative 3 is negative 4 over 3. Okay, so our slope is going to be the same, 2 over 3. So what's our y1? 2. x1, negative 5. And then our slope, 2/3. Because it's the same. Parallel is the same. So now y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. So we have y what? Minus 2 equals 2/3 x plus 5. Ta-da! Okay, I have 3 more examples for you. Ready? Okay, so number 9. We want the equation of a line that passes through 6, 1 and is parallel to this. Okay, parallel means what about the slope? Same slope. Okay, this is in standard form, so we need to put it into slope-intercept. What are the 2 steps? Move the x, divide by y. Move the x, divide by y. Okay, so don't move the y. It's written a little bit different. Move the x, then divide by y. So we have 4y equals, when we move that over, it becomes a positive 2x plus 1. Then divide by y. So we have y equals 2 divided by 4, simplifies down into 1 over 2, x plus 1/4. So it's the same slope, parallel, so let's get our stuff. y1 is what? 1. x1 is what? 6. And then our slope is what? Same thing, 1/2. Okay, so let's write our equation. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we have y what? Minus 1 equals our slope, 1/2, x minus 6. And that's what you'll type in. Okay, so if you notice the last 4 are a little more difficult. So, well, they're just different. They're actually not difficult at all. So you have a point you're writing an equation for the point 2, 4 that is parallel to the x-axis. Okay, so if we have our graph, let's plot the point. The point is at 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Point's right here. And the line is parallel to the x-axis. Okay, meaning it never touches. Who remembers what the slope is for this? The slope is 0, okay? So when the slope is 0, it's crossing here through the y-axis, so is it y equals or x equals? Y equals. And what does the y equal here? 4. 4. This would be your equation. Y equals 4. When your slope is 0, it's always y equals. Okay? So now, let's look at number 13. This one, it contains this point and is parallel to the y-axis. Okay? It's parallel to the y-axis. Actually, I'm not going to do this one with you. You can figure this one out. I want to do number 15. Number 15, passing through this point and is perpendicular to the y-axis. Perpendicular to the y-axis. So, make your graph. Plot your point. Negative 12, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's perpendicular to the y-axis. Perpendicular to the y-axis. What's that going to look like? Crossing it at a 90-degree angle. Okay, this makes 90 degrees. So, what's the slope here? The slope is 0. So we already know it's going to be what? X equals or y equals? Y equals what? 5. 0 slope is y equals, undefined slope is x equals. Okay, so you should be able to finish the rest of this worksheet by the end of class today. Let me know if you need help. Be sure to submit your answers online. It may help if you're submitting your answers as you work, not waiting till the end of class. Good luck.